Okay, so here it is. My name is Jose Azcarate, and I'm here to just discuss with you what happened today on ES as it relates to the use of swing arms. Okay, I was discussing just before about the disclosure and the risk of loss that every one of you need to be aware that you should take the time to educate yourself and do not expect that by just looking at this, you understand what's going on. You won't. It will take time and it will take effort. It's taking me years to get to where I am, and I'm learning every single day. So do not think that this will change your life overnight and you're just going to be able to make a ton of money, but the minute you start using it. It's going to take time to learn, and I suggest that you paper trade as long as it takes for you to have an understanding and the confidence that when you do put your funds at risk, you can trade the process calmly and collected. Not stressed, not nervous, not with your heart rate going through the roof, none of that, no heart attacks. Okay, so with that, let me bring my charts and let's take a look at the 6 grid. Okay, so let's see what this thing did not load all the way. There it is. Okay. Okay, so this morning, this is at 6 o'clock in the morning, price came to the daily support zone, giving us a pre-market opportunity to go long into the 30 minutes sales bucket. Okay, so that was the setup for today. If you look at the 1 hour, the 1 hour price came into the zone of the 1 hour, the zone 4, which that's what this is right here. If you look at it, the 1 hour on the right side, that's where price was coming to and bounced from. So we have a pretty clear setup to work with today in today's session. So that in itself just is all I needed to know to trade the day. Okay, so let me move that out of the way and let's take a quick look at the 4 charts and just to look closely what happened this morning. So let me just maximize the screen. And here it is. This is 6 o'clock in the morning, the touch of the daily zone, strong bounce up to the swing arm, rejection from the swing arm, back to find supports, bounce back up and created the 2-minute bucket. Okay, so let me change this to a 1-minute chart so we can look at it from the 1-minute perspective. And that's the kind of stuff that the swing arms allow you to do, to have razor sharp entries without having to use these massive stops and risking all kind of capital on your stop. If you're wrong, your loss is significant. So what we're trying to accomplish here is to do a much better entry before you get in. So here it is. This is the daily support. Oops, let me go back. Where are we? Right here this morning. So hopefully it won't continue to load. Let me see. Okay. 1 day, yes. Let me go back. There it is. Okay, so hopefully it won't continue to load. So my entry was right here from the bucket. And then as price started to move up, then I shifted to the 2-minute chart. Okay, so I moved to the 2 minutes and this is how you would see it. Let's see. So once I'm in the trade and price really started to develop in the trend that I was expecting, or the swing arms was telling me what's going, oh my goodness gracious. Every time, let me go back and reset. Okay, so once the entry was made from the 1-minute bucket, the 2 minutes breaks and then it back tests the bucket of the 2 minutes, which remember or keep in mind that as a bucket gets created, that bucket gets tested regardless of the time frame. Depending on the time of day. If it is 9:30 when the bucket occurs, then at that time the momentum is so strong that price just moves and it doesn't backtest. But even today, since it had opened the bucket early on at 7:30, it did backtest it quickly 3 times, and then it started to move up to target, which was the 30 minutes on top. So the entry was here, and the take profits target was the 30-minute chart. Now, once the 30 minutes broke down, let me go back again to the 1-minute chart, and then you'll see what happened. So we had the 30 minutes on top, and I'll shift to the 30 minutes later, but for now, just pay attention to this. If I can get the screen to stop moving around. Once this confirmed broken, then we had the entry to go short. Then price continued breaking the time frames. It took a while to take down the 10 minutes because we had lunch hours in the middle, but then eventually it went down all the way to daily support. So I took profits right here. So I was able to go long from the entry over here at 7 o'clock in the morning, all the way to target, and then short again and go in the opposite direction down to target as well. Okay, so let me now take a look at this 2 time frame setup, and walk you through what I was looking at early on in the day. So let me go and adjust this. Let's see, give me 1 second. Let me go to, I'm going to change to the 30-minute chart instead of the 1 hour. And then it'll be the 1 minute and the 30-minute chart. Those will be the 2 time frames. Okay, so that's what I was looking at this morning. Here's the 1 minute entry on the way to the 30 minutes target. There's the 30 minutes target. It confirms by breaking the 1 minute, giving you the short entry again, and then you stay on this short until you reach target or the swing arm breaks against you, which it did not. So I was able to short it and then write it down all the way to my target. Some of you may have, decided, okay, since this is not broken, I'm going to stay on the trade, which you could do so. In my case, I chose to take profits. So it's up to you what you decide and how you decide to manage your entry. Why did I take profits here? Well, because we now have, number 1, the end of day, and number 2, we have daily support. Number 3, we have a pivot point. Number 4, we have buy zones of the 1 hour chart. So how do I know that? Well, let me change this now to the 1 hour chart, and you'll take a look at that and then understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and shift now to the 1 minute and the 1 hour chart, and then you'll see where price is. So price is already at zone 4 of the 1 hour chart. So the short from up here from the 30 minutes, zone 4, all the way down to the zone 4 of the 1 hour chart. That's a full cycle from time frame to time frame. So that's that. It's in a nutshell. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. Anybody has any questions? I'm open to discussing any thoughts you have. The floor is open. If you are muted, just make sure you unmute yourself so you can speak.
So how you decide targets ahead, Jose?
How do I decide on targets? Who's this?
This is Yakuwa.
Who? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, but by the way, thanks for all you're doing. And excellent, actually. This is an excellent find for all of us.
Here are the targets. The targets are in front of you. Each of the time frames, the swing arms, and every time frame is giving you the targets. That's why I start with a 6 grid. So we started from support, we went to the target, we came back to support to the target. And you can see it, price came to the 1 hour, 4 hour zone, zone 4, bounced from it to the 30-minute zone 4, and came back down to the zone 4. So I'm not, this is a forward-looking indicator where you can see the levels where price is going to bounce from and bounce to. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else? That must be really good. Nobody has any questions. So anyway, that's pretty much it. There's nothing more. Yeah, and you can make things complicated. You can add 100,000 indicators to it, trying to figure out this, that, or the other, but you don't have to. It's pretty clear. Just red light, green light, truly. And once you get that around your mind, you will be able to benefit from the implementation of the system. And someone was asking about education. All there is the videos that I've recorded and they're being shared publicly on YouTube. That's it. Either that or you can hire me. I do not work with anybody, just about anybody. I just don't. But that's pretty much it. I hope this helps, and good luck tomorrow.
So Jose, as you said, there is you can stay in the train, right? This is Kamlesh, and you said this is you can stay in the train because you did not touch the red ribbon, right? The red.
No. This is a bullish setup right now. This has the potential to bounce from here. It has the potential. It has not broken the swing arm, the 1 hour swing arm. Okay, this is the second time it comes to it. It has the potential of breaking it as well. So why do I take profits? Because I have the money, the market's giving it to me, I'm gonna take it. I'm not going to gamble and hope that this breaks down. No, I got the money, I'm gonna take it. If it breaks down, what happens? It's going to create a sales bucket. And then that new created bucket will then be back tested at one point in time. So if it's going to break and go lower, I will then short it tomorrow. See?
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
So I'm going from target to target. The system's giving me the targets. I take the money and run. If it breaks, great. If it doesn't break, great. Whatever it does, I don't care. Why? Because I just come back to my system and see which swing arm is active, and then I trade that one in the direction of the other time frames. With looking at from which zone am I going from one location to another. So I don't need to know anything about the news. I don't need to know what the market is going to do. Is it going to be bullish or bearish? I don't care. I don't care. Just look at the charts. The swing arm is telling you we're bearish or we're bullish. And once you enter the trade short from the 4 hour zone, you stay with the trade as long as the swing arm is with you. In my case, I had a target to take profits and I took the profits with a very solid reason as to why I took the profits. I already explained why. But this has not broken up yet, this swing arm. So it has the possibility that this may continue lower eventually in time. But I'm not here to hope and wait, and I'm just going to take the money the market gives me. That's the idea. Okay, anybody else?
Jose, Isham here.
Yes.
I hope you're doing well, Jose.
Yes, how are you?
Good, I can't complain. Jose, we have one question here in the chat, and I'll just add to that as well. The question is from Vet. He wants to know, it's a statement that you've made, which says, keep in mind that the lower time frame swing arms may cycle during lunch hours and continue the trend after 2:30 or before. So
yes.
Just for me to expand on to that as well, we had the price consolidation where price was stuck between 30 minutes and 10 minutes as well. And
correct.
I think he's referring to that. That's the crux of the matter actually. But so he basically wants you to expand on that as well.
Yeah, so what happens is what price, when the market opens or pre-market, there is significant momentum and excitement in whatever trend the market is looking to go. If for example, price is coming from a downtrend during the European session, coming into the US session, it hits support and then it starts to bounce in the opposite direction. So buyers and sellers already have a predetermined target to go to and where to then turn around and go in the opposite direction. The US buyers or traders were waiting to buy this dip into support. So as this happens and the market opens, the energy to the opposite direction of the prior session is significant. And where does it go to? It goes to the swing arm levels. Once it reaches those, it goes in the opposite direction unless it broke the swing arm. The likelihood of breaking it on the first shot is not high. It could happen. It certainly happens, but it's not a high probability unless there is an outside catalyst like a news event that will just pretty much destroy anything. But if nothing like that has occurred, then the swing arm will be respected and price does turn over. Now, if you're not certain of that, which nobody is, and some of you are risk averse, then if you want to wait for confirmation, you wait for the swing arm to break and then you stay on that trade as long as the swing arm is with you. Now, when we get to lunch hours, you will have a time in which price just gets stuck until people are back in their offices and then continue the trend. So as long as you shorted based on the swing arm and you stay with the trade, you will continue in the trade after lunch to target. So you must be aware that there are times, today was not one, in which the swing arm went bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish. In this case, it stayed bearish the whole time. That's very telling that there is more of a mindset to short than to buy. There was no buying and selling of, no breaking up and down of the swing arm. It stayed bearish the whole time. I hope that answered the question. Is that okay, Isham?
Yes, thanks, Jose.
Okay.
I think you've got one more question in the chat there for you.
Okay. What is that?
This is from, I'm not too sure, MBA Con. I'm not too sure what his name is or her name.
That's why we need to have names. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just give it to you.
Yes, please.
It says here, it seems to be a preference for a fresh bucket in the mornings. Do you consider trends coming from early in the morning to be too old and then wait for the swing arm to break? Chris.
Okay, do you understand the question?
Not entirely, but I think what user Chris is probably alluding to is, or like you've mentioned in the past, is to basically, when you look at your setups and you're looking for entries and taking positional trade, wait for a fresh swing arm to start. So I don't know if that is what Chris had in mind.
Okay, so for entries to have the highest probability of success, they have to start from an extreme, either support or resistance or some level of significant interest highlighted by the system. And by that, I mean the swing arms in different time frames are highlighting the zone, either 3 or 4 of that specific time frame. And if it isn't like it was today, it was a 1 hour zone. So that price is coming to a 1 hour buy zone. So as you get the bullish 1 minute swing arm, that is the entry. Yes, you ideally want to enter with a fresh swing arm, because that's what's going to give you an entry with higher probability of success, and it gives you an estimated target for your stops. So for example, in the case of the entry in the morning at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, the entry was into zone 3. It came here once, twice, and 3 times, didn't go all the way to zone 4. It actually touched the zone and bounced from it. So when price comes to me I take the trade and my stop is a couple dollars below the low of the swing arm initially, okay? Doesn't have to be below this low. The swing arm is already calculated it here, so I'm happy to put it right behind this level. So you just go back in time to see, and the swing arm is telling you more or less where you should be. So I would be behind this line, for example. That's my stop right there. So this fresh swing arm is allowing price to come to you. You're not chasing it from up here and then coming against you. No, you're waiting for price to come to you. Then you buy the zone. Your stop is below the swing arm. And as price starts to develop to the upside, you bring your stop behind these steps. I stay usually 2 steps behind price. I don't want to bring my stop too high, too close, because when this 1 minute cycle to back test around 8:30, which is usually a volatile time, it broke down, but then all it was doing was back testing here. If you look back to the left, it will tell you where price is likely to come to. If you go to the left, here is the level of the swing arm prior to going bullish. So price comes back down to test those levels and then bounces and continues. Then as the market opened 9:30, it did the same thing. It back tested multiple times and it then continued to the upside. Was that, tell me the question again?
Yeah, I think that answers the question. He says yes.
Okay.
So should be good. And then there's one more from Sandeep as well.
Okay.
I'll just go ahead. But it's basically to do with the exits. He says, my apologies if this has been answered multiple times. I just wanted to know when to identify the reversal and come out before the trend moves to the opposite bucket. So I think it's referring to exits. When to take your profit, essentially.
If I'm using the SIG grid, I already have, if my entry was right here, because the 1 minute went bullish right here, my entry was around 7 o'clock in the morning from this green candle, this back test, then my targets are up here. If this succeeds and turns over, which it did, then I have a 1 minute swing arm within the 30 going down, and I stay with that trade until I either reach my target or the swing arm, the 1 minute swing arm breaks against me. So the system is telling you exactly from where to trade. You're not guessing at anything. You're not. And if you are, it's because you don't know what you're doing. You don't understand what you're doing. And you have to give yourself time to put your mind around it, to be able to realize, okay, this is how it works. And all, to me, the way I look at it is like just playing ping pong or a pool table, where this is one edge of the table, this is the other edge of the table. We're going from one side to the other constantly until that pattern is broken. Then we go to the next pattern. So if the 10 minutes broke down like it did, because we were sandwiched in before, well, the next target was the daily, the 1 hour. So, but I was already short on the 1 minute chart, and I stay short as long as the 1 minute is with me. So if the 1 minute continues to be with me, I stay with it until I get to target, which was the 1 hour supports. So you do not, and that's the problem that most people will have, is that you get out of trades too early. So for example, if the entry was right here this morning at 7 o'clock, okay, this is a 1 minute chart, and it starts to bounce as expected to the upside. Why? Because we're in a buy zone of the 1 hour chart. We are at daily support as well, and we get the bullish bucket. Okay, so once this occurs, then I'm going to move to the 2 minute time frame and the 1 hour. So I'm just shifting, I'm keeping the 1 hour on the bottom. Now the entry was over here at 7 o'clock, over here. This was because the 1 minute bucket was over here. This is now, Ave Maria, por Dios. Give me 1 second, let me just reset this thing. I wish they would fix this. Okay, so enter here, back tested the 2 minutes, and now my stop is brought in from the entry. Initially was down here. Now as this bucket is created, now my stop is below the low of the swing arm. As this starts to move up like this, my stop gets brought behind the swing arm 2 steps behind. 2 steps behind. Okay, now I know for a fact that we have on the top the 4-hour zone of the 30-minute chart. So why am I going to wait for price to break all the way down here for me to short it? I'm sorry, to take profits. So I take the profits on the top, zone 4, and then it came down to support, bounced back to back test, and then yes, it confirmed the break. This is actually the break right here of the 1-minute chart. So the 1-minute entry is the back test of the bucket of the 1 minute, and then you stay on that trade as long as the swing arm is with you. And this still is very, is very negative right now, but just quite likely as the next session starts, it will likely bounce. Very likely that it will bounce. Okay, so let me go back and add more time so we can see the 1 hour zones. If you don't see the zones in the 2 time frame, it's because you're not giving it enough time for the data to load. Those of you that are new to the swing arm 2 time frame setup. So let me take this out and let me take this out. And so this is I would expect price to bounce from the zone of the 1 hour potential into the zones right here. These are zones that price gets stuck in. Notice as price broke this zone, back tested it, went down, back tested again, came back down, tested it perfectly, bounced back up, came back down, and then eventually broke it to continue lower. So don't expect, the price just doesn't just go in one straight direction. It goes back to always check. If it broke in here, let me go back and test that. Come on, load up. We have more time. Okay. So I was talking about price just getting into the zone. So we're in the buy zones of the 1 hour. And it took a while for it to break this zone 2 to go into zone 3. It went through it easily all the way to zone 4. And that was the target where I took profits. That was it. Will continue lower, possibly. Like I said, if it does, it will create a bucket and then I'll short it again. Once it comes to my levels, I'm not going to chase the trade has to come to me. That's one of the concepts that are, it's a concept that's hard to learn for most people. You end up chasing the trade and then the price comes back against you. So that's how I came up with the swing arm idea. I wanted to see how price would come to me. And I noticed some people are already editing the swing arm and adding a 50% zone. That defeats the purpose of the swing arm. I want price to work hard to come to me for me to get involved. If I put a 50% zone, I'm going to make it much easier to get into a bunch of trades that quite likely will not work. I want the market, if the market wants my money, you're going to have to work hard to come to me. Then I'll get engaged. I don't want a 50% entry. I want a 2 or 3 or 4 zone, ideally 4. If you start to enter trades at 50%, you will be tested and you will be jumping out of trades many times over because you're getting over tested. And if you don't realize what's happening, you're going to be getting out of trades at losses over and over and over. Okay, so do not change the system from what it is. Learn to use what you have before you start changing everything. Okay, any questions?
There's a few more.
Hey, Jose, I'm
Can
sorry.
keep you busy. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I said, hey, Jose, Chris, and we're neighbors downtown Fort Lauderdale.
Awesome.
Hey, how are you? Hey,
Good,
I mean,
man.
it sounds like most people, especially newbies, just aren't patient enough. They see those little wiggles and jerks, and I'm using it, but I'm a Russell 2000. I do it on the RTY futures, and
Right.
I think until you learn some patience and let it don't be afraid of those 2 and 3 point swings, because most people get scared and they leave before they want to. They should.
Yeah, it's true. What happens is that every instrument is like a piece of music. To me, each instrument has a different rhythm. Could be salsa, could be cumbia, could be any of the Hispanic music that I think of, or the slow dance type of thing. So they all have a different speed and a different way of moving. And if you don't get used to the song that is being played in front of you because you keep shifting from one to the next, you'll never get a feeling for the instrument you trade. So I like to stick to one instrument. I don't have to look at 10 different things. I see people trading 15 different products. And if you're extremely experienced and you have the money for it, fantastic, go for it. But those of you that are new, I would highly encourage you to just focus on one and just learn to dance with that instrument. That's it. Realize what kind of move does it do usually when it's volatile. For example, the 8:30 in the morning on ES, the 9:30 in the morning on ES. What happens? How much room do I need to have? And that will help you reduce the stress that it goes associated with the entry. Now, the swing arms themselves will calculate for you the potential zones where price may test to. So it gives you an idea of price as price starts to, the volatility comes in to where it's likely to go. So your stops need to be behind the swing arm as this is occurring. If you're entering late and your stop is just at the first line, you're going to be taken out every time. I had a gentleman call me and this thing doesn't work. I get taken out every time. Well, show me what you're doing. Well, he was not placing the stops as the rules call behind the swing arm when you first enter, below the low tip of the swing arm when you first enter from the bucket. And as prices starts to move up, you need to stay behind the swing arm zone 4 a couple of steps. If you bring it to the first line, you're going to be taken out every single time and price continues to move higher. And that's what was happening. So hopefully that helps you have an idea of the room you have to give to your stops and to also familiarize yourself if price is likely to move from 31.55 to 31.48, $7, how much is $7 of risk? And if my stop has to be below this, well, let's say you're looking at, let's say $12. If you're using a full contract or you're using a micro contract, whatever it is, you must know from the time before you enter the trade, how much are you looking to risk and are you comfortable with that? And if you're adding multiple contracts, then you need to calculate what does that look like. And if you were to be taken out for whatever reason, a news event or a tweet, what would that do to you? Would that hurt you financially? And if so, then you need to go back to one contract. And if that doesn't work, you need to go to a 1 minute time frame so you are able to have a tighter managed entry instead of trying to go to enter a daily chart with a 1 minute entry and a 1 minute stop. It doesn't work that way. If you're going to enter on a 1 minute bucket, on a daily bucket, your stop has to be based on the daily swing arm low, not from a 1 minute entry. Chris, is that clear?
Yeah, I muted myself, and I still got open trades on RUT futures after hours. So I was paying attention, but no, that's perfect. I think it's patience, it's psychology, you know?
Right. Yeah. The fact is that for any one of you that are new to this, and even if you have even a year or two into it, it will take time to learn this. And once you get your mind around it, you will then get a much better sense of feel for what's happening, and it will give you the confidence that you may not have today. It dramatically changes your trading process. You're not stressed, you're not concerned, you're not nervous, none of this stuff, because you know the numbers. For example, let's say if I'm entering the trade, okay, my risk is $50, for example, whatever position. So I'm okay with $50. Yes, I'm okay with trading one contract or whatever the numbers are that make you feel comfortable. Focus on that, and then you build over time as long as you continue to learn and understand what you're doing. If you're still just jumping into trades hoping to make some money because somebody posted on Discord, oh, I'm going long this, and you don't understand why they're going long, and they may be looking at it from a 4-hour perspective, you may be looking at it from a 1-minute perspective. So their stops may be different, their targets are different, everything is different. So do not follow people on Discord that say I'm long or I'm short if you don't know what you're doing, because you're going to get yourself in trouble big time. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, Jose, I have one.
One more, Jose.
I'm sorry?
I said one more question for Jose.
Yeah. Give me 1 second, Rivero, go ahead.
All right. So thank you again for taking the time to really, help us out with the community. And I'm here taking notes, and I kind of just want to understand, because I'm learning every day more and more. So you're saying that you're one of the way that you tend to use this is you look for your entries on the 1 or the 2 minute chart. Once you find an entry, you don't go in right away. You take the time to look at your 30-minute, and I guess your 60-minute, and make sure that it all lines up as a good entry across all those time frames. And then
I do that prior to entering.
Got it.
I start with my 6 grid, okay, and I want price to come to the levels. That's the ideal, either to the levels of the grid or the daily levels or some significant level that I have highlighted. Then once the swing arm, the 1 minute swing arm gives me the buy like it did today, I take it. I already know I am in a buy zone of a 1 hour chart. I take it with my eyes closed. And my stop is below the low, and that's it. Just sit back and just watch TV or watch whatever. Play on Twitter, and just sit back. Give it the time that it needs to develop.
So the optimum entry for you, in your opinion, from what you've seen, right? What you're showing me here is, you want to make sure that the 1 minute lines up with at least the hourly before you consider making an entry, that you're getting all the same signals on those two?
I want 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, any of the higher time frames to be in conjunction with my entry.
Got it. Okay.
Now, if for example, I'm out of the office and I come to the office mid session, well, I may have already messed the proper entry. But for example, if price is coming here at 10 o'clock or 10:46 to support from the buy zone below on a bullish bucket, I could take this trade right here. So those of you that if you understand what I mean by not chasing the trade, you want price to come to you. Coming to you means to come into the zones. Okay, and ideally, I like to have zone 3 or 4 of entries. That's why I highlight constantly when price does that on my charts, because it gives you the points where I would be considering making entries. Okay, so I want price to come to me. I don't want to chase the price once it's up here. I want it to come back, and if it doesn't come back, I'm not in. Otherwise, because if I try to enter it up here, then my stop would have to be below this swing low. So I'm looking at, in this example, let's say about $10. I mean, this is not much, it's a 2 minute chart. But in some instances, once price has moved away from you, for example, all the way up here, do I want to really enter up here? I really don't know if this is going to continue up or come back down. But if it comes into the zone, I have a high probability entry in the direction of the trend from significant support, which is all right here.
So you're saying that since you have that big overlay, right, that 1 hour support, you would feel comfortable taking, like you mentioned, you missed your 10 a.m. entry, you would be comfortable at entering at the third oval because you know it came from an area of strong support. Because what I'm finding is I'm scared to take that entry. That third entry, I would be scared to take it. Number one, not only because I'm learning how to use your system, but how do I know that's not gonna, fly right through 3 and 4, right? So I have stop losses, but I try to look for the strongest support entries. So you're saying that you would feel comfortable just because it jumped from an area of strong support?
No. Let's just, I want you to tell me exactly what you just said.
All right. So we missed our.
And I want, what the point I want to get to is what you said. I'm afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm afraid on that third oval because I don't know if we're at, if we're at a point where we're gonna have.
But let me ask you, what are you afraid of?
Just going in on a bad entry.
And what does a bad entry look like?
A bad entry is something, in my opinion, is where you try to chase the action, but the action reverses on you, and then next thing you know, your positions, you're down 40%.
So if you enter right here, you think you're chasing the trade?
I would. That's how I feel because there's been so much action.
So you're not. Price is coming to you. It's coming to the zones that the system is already calculating as support. Notice what happens. Notice what happens to price. Price came to the bucket and it went up, broke the resistance right here to the upside. What does it do once it breaks the resistance? It comes back to backtest it. Once it backtests and confirms, it's green right here. It goes back up, gives us a new high, then doubts itself by 10 o'clock, comes back down to test some. Where does it test to? The prior highs of the prior break. And it checks that and confirms, and it goes higher. It gives us a new high. What does it do then? Well, it comes back down again to test the prior highs of the prior break. And it does it over and over until it finds the resistance that's going to hold, in this case, the 30-minute chart. So if you don't understand your charts, because you don't pay attention to multiple time frames, then you're going to be in trouble. Now, understand one thing, okay? If this is the 1 hour support, what's the likely time frame that it goes to? The 30-minute support, the 30 minutes resistance. Especially when we know that the 30 minutes is already broken and we have a red bucket, meaning that it's a selling bucket. So price goes back to test the bucket of the 30 minutes, which is just broken around 3 o'clock in the morning. And it back tests all the way to level 4, and it breaks back down in the opposite direction. So going back to your comment, I'm afraid. You cannot be afraid when you trade. And if you are afraid, you need to go pick up the book from Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone. And this is about trading in zones, zone 2, 3, and 4. Trading in the zone will explain to you the importance and understanding of the trading concept that is a trading edge. And the trading edge to you, if you use the swing arm, is this. It's telling you where to buy and where to get out. And if you understand that concept, you should not be afraid. And if you're afraid, you're, number one, over trading in sites, or you're chasing the trade, or you don't know where to put your stop. So, or have no stops, which is insane. Okay, so you must have a stop that you're comfortable with in size, and you must be trading in quantities that you're comfortable with as well. So there should be no fear, zero fear. And if there is fear, you got a problem that you must understand what's going on, because the fear comes from lack of confidence. on the system you're implementing. Okay? So I hope that answered your question. Anybody else?
One question, Jose, here. Same lines. So, for example, at the price around 3163.75. So it's at that time the zone is in the green, and I think that again it will touch the zone at the fourth level and it will go up. So I go in a bullish rate, but it broke the swing arm and then. I put a trade before the red candle, like before the previous candle, maybe at 3162.28. So how do I confirm like this type of a trade? Here I understand it went up, but here it went down. So I'm thinking that time if the swing arm is in the green color, I think that it will go back and go upwards is what I think. But here in this case, it's broke. So how can this area I can get confirmed at 3-1?
Can anybody rephrase that for me? I struggle with accents, and I'm not sure I understand your question. So can anybody?
Okay.
I might be able to help. Hey, Jose, this is Cash Prince.
Awesome, thank you.
So what he's saying is, when it break the 12 o'clock positive swing arm, right? When it break to the what do you call it? The downside, right? He's saying how can he confirm? Because if you look at the bottom, this is a green, green zone. So he's saying, how can he be confident that, when he goes short, he should stay short?
Well, let's take it one step at a time. Okay, let's start with. Let me change the time frame, and from the beginning of the day. This is what I do. Okay, let me go to change my time frame here to 2 minutes. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. 2 minutes. Okay, and then I'm going to change this to 1 minute. This is pre-market. So I'm going to walk you through the pre-market. And if you need to go to my Twitter, and I post on Twitter all the images of what I'm looking at in my setups, so that I'm able to walk you through it. I do post it on the Discord, most of them I believe I do, but for some reason they just not get reviewed or somehow get lost in the shuffle somewhere. So here I am, pre-market. I have the 1 and 2 minute charts displayed on my screen. I mean, swing arms. Price comes to support. Okay, it bounces strongly, confirming that this support is being recognized by price action. And what does it do? It goes straight up all the way to the 2 minute, 100% retracement of zone 4. And then it goes back down into the bucket itself. Okay, so once this starts to develop and I know that this zone down here is a one hour, and its price is responding to the zones strongly from 1 hour. So what's the opposite time frame from the 1 hour, the 30 minutes? And how do I know it's going up to the 30 minutes? Likely because we already have a bucket that was created by 3 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time. So when buckets get created, they get tested 9 times out of 10. So that gives me, as far as the long, a lot of comfort of entering that trade with a strong target. Number one, I do not care to know what price is going to do. The only thing I care is where do I enter. That's it. That's the only thing you need to know. The problem with most traders is that I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the market's going to do. Is it going to be bearish or is it going to be bullish? I see that every day. What's going to happen tomorrow? I have no clue. I don't know how many tweets will happen in the next 24 hours. Okay, so what I do know is that when the trading edge appears, I'm going to take it. And my stop is below the swing arm. And I'm going to ride it as long as it is with me. So we got to the top, we got to the 30, and then it broke down. So I'm going to take it. Notice that in this case, the response was strong enough that it did not go all the way into the zones. But if it comes, you can use the prior swing arm, the bullish swing arm lines as entry points for your trade, okay? Doesn't have to come back 100% all the way up here. It may not. In this case, it did not. So I shorted from up here. As you see price retrace to the lines and getting weak, short it. And you stay with it as long as the swing arm is red. So if you focus 100% on the walls of support and resistance of the higher time frames, you fail to see what's happening currently, right now, with price action. So we must be readers of current price action. If I focus on the higher time frames, I'm going to be confused as to where do I get in and where do I get out. So my entries are based on the entry of the swing arm from a significant support. I get out a significant resistance, but I'm going to stay with that trade as long as the swing arm is with me, or it reaches my target. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the 1 minute swing arm, the 2 minute swing arms are your friend. And if price comes into the zones, if you do not take the first one, then these zones right here were the opportunity to get in. If you did not get in, you could get right here in all these opportunities all through lunch in the direction of the 1 and 2 minute time frames, because that's what's telling you right now what buyers and sellers are doing. And in this case, it's telling me they are selling. Selling, 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 selling. Nothing else. I hope that answered the question. Cash, is that okay?
I think that was a perfect answer. He should get it right now. You can respond if you want.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Jose, Shamya, just many thanks again for great session today. Don't forget to save this recording for review for all the members as well. And
awesome.
Then the last question from Victor. I don't know if it's Trader Vic or Victor. I think there's two of them.
Okay.
But I think send him your PayPal address first. And he says, my question to Jose, is there any chance to document the strategy in text format? Send him your PayPal address, Jose, for that one.
I need a translator. Cash, where are you?
Did you say send me your PayPal? PayPal?
I said Jose needs to send him his PayPal address. Because Victor's asked.
I don't think Jose does that.
No, Victor is saying, is there any chance to document the swing arm strategy in a text format?
I think Jose, do you sell the strategy?
No, I don't.
No.
Okay. So why PayPal address?
I'm saying, Victor, Jose, is there any chance you can document the strategy in a text format?
Oh, in a text format. It wants to know if you can document like the process, like in the routine format.
Well, what happens is that the market is fluid, okay? And you must understand the process and be fluid just as well. Okay, so the videos like we're doing right now, I think would provide you much better understanding and guidance, because number one, I'm showing you what I'm looking at and why I'm getting in, and also why I'm getting out. But if I were to write it without you really seeing what I'm talking about, you probably quite likely would be very confused.
Lost, right. And one other thing you guys should note is that there are multiple recordings on this process that Jose have done countless times before. You can go to the previous recordings and go over them, so that you can understand the way he's doing it.
Yeah, and as each time this gets done, it gets better. Yeah. Because remember that the swing arm originally had only one time frame set up, and then through I was working with Ben and a couple of the people, develop a multi-time frame setup, and then that I was not too happy with the way it worked out. And then another one of our friends here in the group came up with a 2-time frame, which I like 10 times better, because it's easier to read and easy to understand and easy to flip from one to the other. So he helped us with the labels, he helped us with the time frames. And then as all these improvements are done, it requires my retraining again. See?
Right.
So as I start to then study and study and study what's happening, how it's working, and I'm checking all my monitors and see everything, how it's developing, so that I can then turn back and teach you guys what I'm doing. So if I were to put this on paper, this will be changing practically every day.
Yeah. Jose, the stuff on the resource channel, is that the updated one that you have, or is it different? The one that Ben put on the resource channel?
I think it's outdated.
Oh, okay. Because I thought about that, because yours works a little differently than the one that he posted out there.
Yeah, it's probably outdated, and because, like I said, this is a moving target.
Yeah, yeah.
But the way it is right now, it's been like this for the past 2 weeks. So
where do you share the updated version, Jose?
Well, Ben has it. So what happens is that he may just get confused as to which one is which. That may be the case, because as the updates happen. So what I'll do, I'll tell him to delete what he has and create new ones.
That'd be great. Yeah.
So that everybody's on the same boat, and you can really get to benefit from the learning that's behind the whole thing.
Yeah, I like this 1 minute and 2 minute stuff. Good stuff.
Awesome.
Hey, Jose.
Yes.
Hello. Hey, it's Pratik here. Thank you for all you are doing. I have a question. How can I overlap 1 minute and 2 minute chart on my Thinkorswim?
Yes, that's what Cash was just saying, that I believe, I don't know if what's on the resource is the updated version or not. So I will send a message to Ben with, I'll give him links to my setups so he can update the system and then email you, or make a notification on Discord that they are updated. So once they get updated, you need to go back to your Thinkorswim and delete everything you have before you import this. Because if you end up duplicating over and over the swing arms, you're going to be so confused you don't know which one to use.
Yep.
So it's important that before you bring in the new tool, you delete what you currently have and start from zero. As you import the tools, you need to save the style for each time frame, and then save the style for the grid itself. And you need to save the styles for the 6 grid, the 4 grid, the 2 grid, and then the volume profile. All of those are individual pieces that you must put your mind around. Also, those of you that are new, you need to become aware that what's on the chart is a recipe of ingredients, and every one of these items is a different ingredient. The swing arms themselves are 2 different studies. The labels are a different study. All these labels on the top are different studies. The lines that you see are another study. The one down here, the zone, is a different study. So if I go to studies, you'll see a whole bunch of ingredients that are what makes what you see on the chart. So some people ask me, well, do this for me, do this for me. I don't do anything for anybody. I want you to educate yourself and learn to use the tool. I don't want you to be dependent on me or anybody else. The purpose of showing and teaching you guys is to empower you to make the money you want to make. Support your family, support yourselves, and pass it on. It's not.
There's one thing that I think you would like too. There is a way to actually switch on one screen to different styles with this thing. I don't think they've shown you that. You can actually create it so that you can just click on a style. It'll go to the 4-hour on one screen. You can just click a button and it just take you right there.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It creates a lot of problems.
Oh, really?
Yes. Are you talking about the banner, the menu banner that you put on top?
Yeah.
Yes. No, it doesn't work. I tried it, and it gets what it does. Somehow it corrupts the studies, and then it gets really screwy. So I even though I like the idea. Especially for someone that may be working on 1 monitor or 2 monitors, I thought it was great, but it creates all kind of conflicts. I don't understand the reason, but it does.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I do have just multiple charts. I have, if you look at I don't know if you see on the bottom of my screen, you see the various charts that I have open, and I just have them in individual monitors. If you don't have but one monitor, I highly recommend you buy at least one more. because if you're trying to do this with no tools or working with a little bitty laptop, it's insane. And if you're trying to do it on the phone, forget about it. You're nuts. Do not do that. You're going to lose your money. It's just that simple. Okay, anybody else?
Jose, do you ever use a higher time frame than the 1 or 2 minute to tell you when to get in or how long to stay with the trade?
Yes, of course.
Okay. What's the
every trade starts with this. Every trade starts.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying one, like for your entry, do you, or staying in, do you ever say, hey, I'm going to start looking at the 5 minute now instead of just the 1 or 2 minute?
It's just a matter of what you're trying to accomplish at the point in time you're trading it. Okay. For example, back in the fall of last year, we had the 4-hour bucket within a zone 4 of the daily chart. Talk about a massive trade of months. So it's just a matter of what you're looking for and how you plan for it. And the system gave it as a setup weeks in advance. So it's just part of the homework. And that's the reason it's important that when you start the day, you're reviewing your higher time frames to get a sense of what's potentially happening. Okay, so if we go back in time, here's the daily, the 4-hour was here. So we had a 4-hour and a daily to go to the upside. So it just depends on what you're doing. And if the daily breaks down, all hell breaks loose. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
If you miss the break and you're afraid of it, well, what happens here? It goes and back tests the breaks. And you get to write it again. And we have someone in the group that traded from the top to the bottom. An amazing, amazing, shocking trade. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna call it a day, and I hope you guys learned something. I'm gonna go ahead and save this. Thank you, Isham, for assisting me in the process.
Thanks, Jose. Thanks, Jose.
Cash, and those of you that helped me in getting this done.
Thank you. You're the man.
And awesome. We'll catch up tomorrow. I'm gonna go ahead.
Kick-ass job, man.
All right. Stop recording.